Are you looking to level up hundreds of times and make millions, all whilst being AFK? Well, then you've come to the right place. Today I'm going to be showing you how to install, set up, and run the brand new V12 Fish macro made by AutoHotkey. Please make sure that you follow all the way through, as I will explain everything in depth to avoid common errors and problems. But with that being said, let's get straight into the new best fish macro. Step 1 is coming on over to AutoHotkey.com. To get to AutoHotkey, click the first link in the description and it will take you to this website. What this is the program that allows the fish macro to run, as the macro itself is just code, and so it needs something to run through, and this is what AutoHotkey is. This is no virus or Trojan horse or any malware. This is completely safe and by itself does nothing to your computer. It is simply something for the macro and the code to run through. So step 1 to installing AutoHotkey is we're going to press download v1.1. Next, you're going to choose where you want to download it, so I'm going to save it into my downloads folder. Here it is installing in the top right of my screen here. The download is now complete, so I'm going to double click that to open it. Before you see this screen, it's going to pop up asking if you want to allow AutoHotkey to make changes to your device, and you're going to click yes. Once you see this window, you're going to press express installation and it's going to do its thing, and that is it. You're then going to press run AutoHotkey and then close it, and close this window too. And after this point, you're not going to need to open AutoHotkey directly ever again. So that is step 1 complete, and now you've got AutoHotkey. Now that you've installed AutoHotkey, this gives you something to run the macro through, which is great. So the next thing to do is actually install the macro file. So this is the Discord server where the macro originates, White Sands macros, but for some people it can be a bit complicated on where to find this actual macro. So I've got the file in my own Discord server in the fish macro channel, and it's super simple to find it. Fish macro, the file is right here. All you then need to do is just click the file, which will download it, and simple as that, it will just be in your downloads or wherever you download your files to. After you've then installed the macro, come on over and double click it to open it, and it's going to bring up this settings menu. You can then close your files and just leave this settings folder and your Roblox open. So here are the 3 tabs of the macro that are all going to help you to, do it the most efficiently and make sure it doesn't break. So here are my settings that I would be using for the macro. Auto lower graphics I have on enabled, just so my PC just generally doesn't explode overnight. It uses the lowest graphics settings possible to still allow the game to run. Auto zoom in, I'm not really too sure if this affects your performance, but I have it enabled anyway just because I feel like it helps. It works for me, so that's what we're going for. Auto enable camera mode, you want this on. This is where a lot of people went wrong in the first original macro. You needed to make sure that you had your camera mode on so that it wasn't pressing the menu and shot buttons up here. So by having that on, it means that, it's gonna not break. Auto look down isn't necessary in my opinion, but I have it on anyway just because if they think it's a good option to have, I might as well have it just so it doesn't break, my fishing. And auto blur I keep off just because I don't really need it to be blurred. It's not that deep. So those are all the auto settings you're going to be needing there. The hold the rod cast duration milliseconds, I keep mine at 600, which is the default, just because getting a perfect cast or just a basic cast doesn't really affect the fish you're going to be catching or the money you're going to be making. It's really not that big of a deal, so I keep that on 600 just to ensure that it does cast, but it doesn't really matter about it being a perfect cast. Wait for bobber to land, so this is the time it's going to take between the cast and the actual shaking, so that's what I go for, 1000. That's again the default because that's what you want. Now with this macro you can actually use bait. On the previous version you weren't able to use bait, but this one you are, which is great. And this macro also does have compatibility with the seraphic rod. Obviously when you use the rod, the control bar is shaking all over the place, so it's good that they've made a version with the seraphic rod in mind. So this is the first tab complete. Pretty simple, not much to go over. The next second tab is going to be the shake settings, and this is pretty important too. Your navigation key. Now mine is hashtag, and let me show you where you can find yours. You're going to be able to see your navigation key by scrolling down in the settings until you find UI navigation toggle, and it says use the hashtag key to enter and exit UI navigation mode. Now in the little box on the macro where I put hashtag, you're going to put whatever this symbol is. For some people this is a slash, some people it's a hashtag. Just put in the box whatever it is here. Shake mode, you can use either click or navigation. I tend to use click just because I prefer it. I've never used navigation and click works, so I've got no reason to try navigation, so I use click. Navigation will use your UI navigation, but I'm not really too sure on the difference there. The shake failsafe, so if it manages not to catch a fish or if your macro breaks on like one of the catches, this is the time it takes before it restarts everything. So I usually put this at around 10 or 15, so I'll put that at 15 for now. The click shake color tolerance, I have 0 zero idea what that means. I just leave mine at the default 3. The click scan delay, so this is going to be how long it takes between each click, so I leave that at the 10 milliseconds, the default anyway. And then the navigation spam, if you're using click method for your shake button, then this one doesn't really matter too much, but I'll just leave that at 10 as well. The mini game settings then, these are basically all fine, as this is the default and will work for most rods. Back in the White Sands macro Discord, there are a bunch of different settings depending on the rod you're going to be using. So if you're using some different rods or different resolutions for your game, there are a bunch of different settings that you can copy here. So for instance, you've got the Kraken rod, you've got Seraphic rod, No Life rod, Forgotten Fang, Rod of the Depths plus Exalted rod, Eternal King rod. Basically loads of different rods that are going to have different settings that you should probably be using, but I mean, for me, these settings basically just work fine. So that's kind of everything within the macro, and you shouldn't really have too many issues with downloading it or, you know, doing the settings yourself, as long as you copy everything that I've just said. So now let me get into some of the best places you can be using this macro. Now, I've got plenty of tutorials on my channel of the best XP methods and the best money methods you can be using when going AFK, so I'm going to be showing off my XP method now. So for me, I like to use the No Life rod with the clever enchant on it, because this gives a stupid amount of XP with its insane lore speed and its okay luck. It gives a crazy amount of XP. As you can see, I've caught nearly 20,000 fish using this rod. So where we're going to be heading to get the most XP is actually over to the Grand Reef. So let's head on our jet ski now. Now, it's debatable whether the Grand Reef or the Atlantean Storm gives you the most XP. Some people think that because it's easier to get the mythical fish in Atlantean Storm, it's actually better, but I think because the Grand Reef mythicals give you more XP, it's actually the most effective method. But you know, either will give you a stupid amount of XP. So let's head over to the Grand Reef now. Since you can use bait with this macro, I like to use the rapid catches just to have instant catches, or you can use night shrimp as well, because with the No Life rod it does still result in rapid catch with an extra 90 luck on top of that. Right, here we are. So either you could use these whirlpools here for the Atlantean Storm, but I do like to use the Grand Reef. So coming over to the edge, then you want to set up right on the edge of where you're fishing, open up your macro, then you can press start macro, come on over to the edge. I like to press F11 twice to full screen my game, and then you can just press P and it will automatically start your macro. It will go automatically into picture mode as well, get rid of all the menus and stuff, and it will just start catching fish. Now, because with the No Life rod and the night shrimp, it doesn't actually require you to shake. All you'll actually see it doing is do the mini game, the bar mini game right at the bottom of your screen. It's super simple to catch the legendaries and the mythicals. As you can see, there's one there, and with the No Life rod you're going to get the piercing effects, so the minus 75 progress speed really doesn't mean too much. You probably won't be getting perfect catches with this macro, which is a bit of a shame, but you know, catching it is better than nothing at all, especially in terms of money. There you go, there's a silver Grand Reef Guardian off the bat, and it's just going to keep doing this forever until you stop it. So I'm literally not pressing my keyboard or my mouse right now. So the difference between this macro and the previous version is that you can use bait. On the last one, using bait kind of broke the macro, which wasn't too great, but finally you're able to use bait. So macroing for things like the Spectral Serpent might actually be plausible now using truffle worms, where the luck was super low because you couldn't use bait. Using truffle worms and things like that is now good for, you know, catching your Spectral Serpents, as long as you have the right resilience on your rod, of course. This method, I mean, obviously we're catching loads of mythicals, so the money you're going to be getting from this is crazy. Easy as that. An electric Grand Reef Guardian on that one. Another mythical straight after that. Easy peasy. Do let me know down in the comments if you have any issues or questions about the macro, and I'll try my best to answer as many of those as possible. We do also have a macro help channel in the Discord server. That'll be linked in the description, of course. There's the legendary. Now, the legendary typically has a much lower resilience and tends to move around a bunch more, but the macro makes easy work of that. Nothing too crazy. Okay, let's just head over to the next spot for gaining XP then, and that's going to be over to the Ancient Isles. There's a specific spot at the Ancient Isles that's going to give you a very nice amount of XP and some pretty cool fish. We're going to stick with the same No Life rod and the night shrimp to get the instant catches and a decent amount of luck too. The No Life rod on its own isn't actually that bad at catching fish for money, as it does have the 30% chance of putting the hexed mutation on any of the fish you catch, which is a decent multiplier on any of your catches. So this is the waterfall at the Ancient Isles, which is where we're going to be fishing next, which does have a pretty cool bestiary and can make you some nice amounts of of XP. So here you can catch things like the Mosasaurus, the Helicoprion, this one, the Ginsu shark, and some very, very nice fish. So let's just open back up our macro. All my settings are still the same. Start the macro. Let's press F11 twice and just press P. And as you can see, we're already catching fish. Very, very nice. And it's just gonna keep doing this over and over again until you stop the macro. So you can see those symbols at the bottom of the control bar. They're going to be tracking the bar itself to make sure that it's staying on the fish and not let it get away. So either fishing here at the Ancient Isles or fishing at the Grand Reef are the best ways using this macro to get the most XP. And if you change up your fishing setup just slightly, can be the best ways to make money as well. So this macro definitely is very, very good since you can use bait. That's one of the big selling points of this macro. So it does unlock a whole new amount of fish that you can be catching with this macro, which is great. Super, super good. And all whilst being AFK or even asleep. I do this overnight and it helps me get loads and loads of money, loads of levels, and I'm getting super, super close to the seraphic rod thanks to this macro, which is great. Again, if you do have any issues or any questions, do let me know down in the comments and I'll be sure to answer and try and solve as many of your problems as possible. We also do have the support channel in the Discord server, the Intense Corner, if you want to join up and post any of your problems in there too. If this video did help you out, please make sure to smash that subscribe button as it really does help out the channel a lot. And with that being said, have a great rest of your day. Peace.